What is up, guys? Welcome back to another UFC prediction video. Today I'm going to be giving my full card predictions for UFC Vegas 101, Mackenzie Dern, the Gyat versus Ribas 2. So without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and get right into the full card predictions. I'll also be touching on some of the bets I have placed for the card as well towards the end of the video. So, first card of 2025. Our first matchup of 2025, we got Yanal Ashmouz versus Aliev. Now, I'm actually going to be picking Yanal Ashmouz here as a heavy underdog, plus 380 there. Now, in terms of the odds, I'm going to be picking Yanal Ashmouz here to defeat Aliev. Now, look, Aliev, he's got good grappling, good takedowns, good top control, but doesn't do a lot with it. He's been inactive. He's only fought once in the UFC, and he had a Dana White Contender Series fight, but he was fighting a kid that literally looked like he just got done working at Chipotle earlier that evening, and then Dana White went up to him on the side of the street and gave him some gloves and said, hey, come fight this guy. He fought a very low-level fighter on the Dana White Contender Series. Got a win in the UFC in his debut, but he's been inactive. He's a younger fighter. And look, Yanal Ashmouz, he's nothing to write home about, and he's not the most world-class fighter ever, but he's decent, he's crafty, and he's got good enough grappling, in my opinion, to be able to at least keep it close in that domain of the fight. And I actually do think he's a better striker. Has some power in his hands, had a nice KO win over Patterson, I believe, in his UFC debut, actually. He's 8-1. Look, Aliev's undefeated as well, but the only loss that Yanal Ashmouz has had in the octagon was to Chris Duncan, who's a good fighter, and Yanal broke his arm in the first round of that fight. So, realistically, you can look over that loss. So realistically, we're talking about two undefeated fighters here. One of them's plus 380. I got to pick Yanal Ashmouz here. Looked good against Trevor Peek last time out. Trevor Peek's definitely a better striker in terms of just marauding capability than Aliev. Trevor Peek's not the most technical guy. I picked Yanal Ashmouz there as well, but Yanal Ashmouz, crafty, good enough grappling to keep it competitive, like I said, and I think actually on the feet, he will do a lot better. Good head movement, decent leg kicks, sneaky shots from weird angles, and he's also in very, very, very good physical condition. The dude is jacked to the gills. Looks like he might actually be on EPO. I'm not sure about that, but it's a possibility. Slight reach disadvantage here, but I'm picking Yanal Ashmouz here to win in the first fight of 2025. Like I said, plus 380 underdog. I'm taking him there to beat Aliev and give him his first loss in his career. So yeah, give me the Red Fox. Crafty, underrated fighter. I think he gets the job done there. Magomed Gadzhiyasulov versus Bruno Lopes. Now, Bruno Lopes, he fought twice on the Dana White Contender Series. He fought originally against Brinson Ribeiro, got knocked out there as a hefty minus 900 favorite, I believe, in that fight. Didn't look too good, and he did win his second try at the Dana White Contender Series. Forgot who he was fighting, but not a high-level guy. Got the second round TKO there. Bruno Lopes, look, he's an older guy that actually was inactive in his career for a long time before coming back to fight in the LFA, where he became the LFA light heavyweight champion, fought in the Contender Series twice, and now he's in the UFC. But like I said, he took a long time off of his career. Not a guy that's in his prime, I believe. And look, all he's really got is some power in his hands and some boxing. Not a well-rounded fighter, not super dangerous. The only thing he's really got going for him is a hard couple shots on the feet to the head. Doesn't mix his targets to the body at all either. Not really a high-level fighter, just a big power puncher, in my opinion. Brazilian guy. Magomed Gadzhiyasulov, in his Dana White Contender Series fight, fought the toughest fighter to ever exist in Medina, Jose Medina. Zach Reese fought him as well. Nobody's able to knock that guy out. You can hit that guy in the head with a sledgehammer, Medina that is, and he will survive. Look at Medina's fights versus Zach Reese and Gadzhiyasulov, and you'll be able to see that. Look, I got Gadzhiyasulov winning this one. Gadzhiyasulov actually beat Brinson Ribeiro, who did TKO Bruno Lopes in their Contender Series bout. Magomed Gadzhiyasulov, primarily a striker on the feet, but he can mix in the grappling if he needs to. In his Dana White Contender Series fight, showcased very, very good kickboxing skills, switch kicks, head kicks, lots of front kicks up the middle, utilizing his reach, which is at 75, pretty solid for a light heavyweight, not terrible. Reach advantage of an inch over Bruno Lopes there, but pretty dynamic striker. Last time out, didn't look fantastic against Brinson Ribeiro, but realistically, he got calf kicked a good amount in that fight, and that hindered him. But other than that, he was pretty much in control, mixed in the grappling, and was able to win that fight with control time because, you know, his calf was hurt. The striking was a bit even, and he was able to showcase his well-rounded skill set. I got Gadzhiyasulov winning this one by decision. I think he can do something similar that he did against Brinson Ribeiro. Keep it even on the feet. I don't think Lopes is going to chop the calf as much, so I think that Magomed will have better success on the feet. Win the first 2 rounds on the feet. He does seem to have cardio issues though, so I do think he'll have to lean on the grappling the later this fight goes. Lopes doesn't have great cardio though in his own right, so I think this will kind of be a slow-paced, sloppy, light heavyweight fight. Magomed Gadzhiyasulov, more well-rounded, better skill set in pretty much every regard. I think he gets the job done by decision. Younger, faster, more athletic as well. Yeah, I got to go with Gadzhiyasulov there. Our next fight on the card, we got Preston Parsons versus Andreas Gustafsson. Preston Parsons coming off a loss to Ogden Aliev at UFC 304. Beat Matthews Semmelsberger before that. Decent overall, you know, MMA generalist for the most part. Kind of has like a Serra-Longo style. Sloppy kind of on the feet, but a lot of volume. Does mix in the grappling decently well. Andreas Gustafsson, a guy that is violent. On his regional fights, he had a lot of wars. Did fight on the Dana White Contender Series. Kind of had a slow performance. Kind of just smudging his opponent up against the fence. But eventually, I believe it was in the 2nd or 3rd round, got a pretty nasty elbow TKO. And physically imposing fighter. I'm pretty sure he worked like out in the fucking woods doing like Firewatch or something shit like that out in Sweden. Not Firewatch, goddamn. Something or another. He was like a national park ranger and he just lived in a cabin all the time and he trained MMA. Kind of reminds me of Yuri Prohashka, but you know, Preston Parsons I actually think is the more skilled fighter, but you know, we've seen with guys like Dricus Duplessis, skill means nothing in MMA. It's all about how much you want it and how much of a dog you are. And I think Andreas Gustafsson's more of a dog than Preston Parsons. And I think he's going to go in there, be a little bit more physically imposing, 2.5-inch reach advantage here. Bigger fighter, I think he'll weigh more in the cage. And I do think that he'll be able to get this job done by decision over Preston Parsons. Parsons looked a little weak against Ogden Aliev last time out, just physically weak. And I think that Ogden Aliev isn't necessarily as physically strong as Gustafsson. And Gustafsson, I've seen it in one of his regional fights. If it goes to a bloody war and a battle of grit, he normally is going to be the one that pushes the pace more. So I respect Preston Parsons' skill set, but I'm going to go with Andreas Gustafsson. Opened as a, I do believe he opened up as an underdog on BetOnline. Yeah, plus 145. Now he's a minus 180 favorite. I do think that those odds are correct. Probably would have placed a bet on him if I could have got him at those dog odds, but I'm not going to play him here at the odds of damn near 2-1 against a skilled fighter in Preston Parsons. But for the pick, I do think that Andreas Gustafsson gets the job done by decision in his UFC debut here. Our next fight on the card, we got Thiago Moises versus Trey Ogden. Trey Ogden last time out beating Radzhabov. Decent performance there. Got the job done with his grappling. Win before that over Kurt Holobaugh. Pretty good performance there, Kurt Holobaugh. You know, crafty vet. Thiago Moises, I believe his last fight was against Ludovic Klein, where he got styled on and destroyed, but Ludovic Klein, dangerous high-level fighter. Gonna pick Thiago Moises to get the job done here. He was actually able to keep it competitive with Ludovic Klein on the feet until he got dropped with the left hand at the end of the first round and the knee in the third. Other than that, decently competitive fight for the most part. Does have good grappling, fights out of the Fighting Nerds gym. And he's honestly due for a bounce back. Had a good performance against Mitch Ramirez time before last. So I think he can do something similar here to Trey Ogden, who doesn't have good striking defense whatsoever. And he doesn't threaten a lot with his grappling. He'll get you down, has very good takedowns, but not a lot of subs, not a lot of ground and pound. If you're not dangerous on the ground, I'm not gonna really pick you to dominate Thiago Moises in terms of using your grappling. So I'm actually gonna pick Thiago Moises here to get the job done via, I'll actually go with Thiago Moises by a third round TKO here, solely because I think that Trey Ogden has very poor striking defense. Grappling's good, but I don't see him getting Thiago Moises down super consistently. I think we actually see this kind of be a grappler striking matchup, and I favor Thiago Moises getting the job done there. So yeah, I'll take Moises third round TKO over Trey Ogden. Our next fight on the card, we got Marco Tulio versus Ihor Potieria. Easy pick, Marco Tulio by first round finish. Ihor Potieria has literally just been a basically cannon fodder for the UFC. Lost to Michel Pereira, lost to Cesar Almeida, lost to, I mean, we're losing count at this point. His only win in the UFC, I'm pretty sure, was over Shogun Rua, the ghost of Shogun. Lost by KO, I believe, after that fight versus Bellato, if I'm not mistaken. Marco Tulio Silva, very good fighter, beat Yusuri Belgari on the Contender Series last year. This year, didn't get the contract last year. This year, came on, won in impressive fashion, dominated the first round, and in the second round, got a beautiful, I believe it was a spinning back kick TKO to the body. So, beautiful finish there this year for Marco Tulio Silva in the Dana White Contender Series. Physically imposing fighter, can mixed in the grappling versus Yusuri Belgari, the kickboxer, very well. Was able to get the job done using the grappling in that fight, and in his most recent performance, looked great on the feet, was able to get the job done via TKO. I think he's able to beat Ihor Potieria everywhere the fight goes. Ihor Potieria is just not good. He's not good in any regard of MMA, doesn't know how to strike, can't really grapple very good. Easy win for Marco Tulio Silva here. Easiest pick of the card. Our next fight on the card, we got Felipe Bunes versus Jose Johnson. Tough one to call here in the flyweight division. Both of these guys not super high level, but I'm going to go with Jose Johnson to win this one by some... Nah, I'm not going to take him by submission. I'm going to take Jose Johnson to win by decision here. Long, wiry striking. Had a decent performance against Asua Mabayev last time out, who's a very high-level fighter, who is about to destroy Steve Verseg in their fight. Unfortunately, I like Steve Verseg, but Asua Mabayev is a different level. I got Jose Johnson beating Felipe Bunes here. Favorited to win it in this matchup. You know, Felipe Bunes just kind of mid everywhere. Jose Johnson at least has some X factors. The height, does have a good submission game he can lean on if he needs to. Has had a decent amount of UFC experience. Look, this is pretty much a low-level flyweight matchup, but I'm going to take Jose Johnson to win by decision. Don't be surprised if he gets a submission if Bunes goes in for a sloppy takedown or something like that. Jose Johnson is quick to go for a sub. So yeah, give me the American here, Jose Johnson, to beat Felipe Bunes. Our next fight on the card, we got Punelli Soriano versus Uros Medic. Interesting fight to try and call here because Uros Medic, good striker. I believe he beat Tim Elliott last time out. And Punelli Soriano, good performance last time out against Miguel Beza. Picked him in that matchup where nobody was really picking Soriano to beat Miguel Beza there. As an underdog, got the job done, was there for that fight live in attendance, and you know, got the job done, was able to use his grappling, which he will need to go and use if he wants to beat Uros Medic. He's got to go for the takedowns here. Medic, powerful striker on the feet. I believe he KO'd Tim Means last time out. Most of his wins do come by knockout. Dangerous striker, but his weakness is 100% his grappling. Look at the Miktabek Oralbai fight Orlbai, after about 2 takedowns, Urdos Medic absolutely broke and got submitted in the second round. Look, I think that Pinelli Soriano does have good power in his hands, decent striking, trains at Extreme Couture, can mix in the grappling. He's a more well-rounded fighter. I'm actually going to go with Soriano here as an underdog again to beat Urdos Medic. He's got to get the takedowns going. If he can get the takedowns going first, second round, beginning of the second round, he will be able to tire out Urdos Medic and beat him on the feet with his powerful punching, or continue to take him down, but he's got to lean on that wrestling. So yeah, if it stays striking, Medic will beat him, but if Pinelli Soriano fights smart, uses his takedowns, he will get the job done there. Our next fight on the card, we got Austin Bashi versus Christian Rodriguez. Very, very interesting fight here to try and call. They don't have the odds listed on the UFC website. I believe that Austin Bashi actually opened up as an underdog on BetOnline. Yeah, on BetOnline opened up as a plus 167. I don't think you would be able to get him plus money anywhere else. Yeah, he wasn't plus money anywhere else. Opened as an underdog on BetOnline, quickly became the favorite damn near overnight, I believe. But Christian Rodriguez is literally the prospect killer. So Bashi, he's getting the prospect killer in his UFC debut. Bashi, undefeated prospect, trains in America, very high level grappler, and his striking is definitely coming along as well. He was in my Dana White Contender Series prospects to watch video, one of the guys that really impressed me this year. C-Rod was on a tear until last time out, lost to Julian Erosa by sub. If he would have never fought Julian Erosa and he was coming off of the Isaac Dulgarian win, I'd be very, very quick to pick Christian Rodriguez here. But that Julian Erosa fight really showed where Austin Bashi can take advantage of Christian Rodriguez, which is the submission grappling, which Austin Bashi is super, super nasty in. In his Dana White Contender Series fight, looked all right on the feet. His striking definitely needs some work. I'm not incredibly bullish on him being some super next level, high level prospect here in the featherweight division. I actually rate Kevin Vallejos a lot higher than Austin Bashi in this division in terms of guys coming off the Contender Series this year. But regardless, he's high level, gritty in terms of going for a lot of takedowns, sophisticated once he actually gets on the mat in terms of his positional awareness, does threaten a lot of submissions, did win by submission on the Dana White Contender Series. Christian Rodriguez, a guy that I do not like to pick against because he's kind of clutch, realistically. He beat Chiwiwi Rosas Jr. in Rosas Jr.'s UFC debut, I believe, or a second fight. Was able to beat a grappling heavy prospect there in that matchup. So similar situation here. We'll have to see if he can do it again. Christian Rodriguez, physically imposing fighter for the most part. When he was at bantamweight, I think featherweight, it's going to be a different story. He was undersized against Julian Erosa there. But at bantamweight, did use his strength pretty well. Has really good cardio, good striking on the feet. He's crafty, has a good ability to adjust mid-fight. And he was able to gas out Rosas Jr., got the job done there. After that, beat Cameron Simon, which was a good win. Beat him pillar to post there in every aspect of the game. Just bullied him in that matchup. And then had a close competitive split decision with Isaac Dulgarian. But Dulgarian, again, another very high-level grappler. If you look back at that fight in the second round, I believe Christian Rodriguez landed a nasty counter knee as Dulgarian went in for a takedown. So look for him to use some tricky tactics like that, tricky creative strikes like that against Austin Bashi here. But I think that Austin Bashi is super dialed. I think he's going to go for the takedowns relentlessly. And I just think he has the I won't be denied mentality. Rodriguez isn't going to have the size advantage that he did at bantamweight. And that last fight versus Julian Erosa where he did get submitted, I think that Austin Bashi will be really quick to latch up a submission if this fight goes to the ground. I would have bet on Austin Bashi, again, like Gustafsson, if I could have got him at those dog odds, but I cannot trust him here as a minus 225 favorite against the prospect killer. So the pick is Austin Bashi, but if you're going to bet on this fight, at the odds of about plus 180, I would be taking Christian Rodriguez for the upset. Our co-main event of the evening, no, not the co-main event, this should be the co-main event of the evening. They switched up the bout order. I was like, there's no way we're getting through this card that fast. I'm pretty sure in terms of the actual bout order, this will be the co-main event of the evening, but this is a fight that I'm really looking forward to. We got Chris Curtis versus Roman Kopylov. Now, I'm not looking forward to this fight because I think it's going to be super gritty and competitive. I think Roman Kopylov is going to go in there and smoke him instantaneously in the first round. I think that Chris Curtis is absolutely done. I don't think he ever wins again inside of the UFC octagon. Limited skill set. All he really has is some boxing going for him. Look, he's coming off of a nasty hamstring injury as well. I always pick against the older fighters coming off of an injury, especially against a young up-and-coming killer like Roman Kopylov. Roman Kopylov, you know, he's lost due to grappling before in the UFC, especially last time he did lose against Anthony Hernandez, but Anthony Hernandez beats almost everybody at middleweight, so that's not a bad loss to take. And did seem to have improved in terms of his grappling against Cesar Almeida last time out, was able to go for the takedowns to win that fight. Looked good on the feet though, as always, landed his body kicks, dropped Cesar Almeida, who's a much better striker than Chris Curtis in the first round with a left hand. I think Kopylov goes in there and just treats Chris Curtis like a fucking heavy bag, body kicks him across the octagon, plants a left hand on the chin, and absolutely snipes him, shuts the lights off, and it's going to be a brutal, jaw-breaking victory for Roman Kopylov over Chris Curtis. I think this has all the makings to be just an absolute disgusting finish. I think Kopylov's going to literally dismantle and disrespect Chris Curtis in there. Chris Curtis has a better chance of literally transforming into Dumbledore from Harry Potter, casting a spell on Roman Kopylov, turning him into a fire-breathing dragon, and then literally fighting a mythical battle in the octagon. That is a higher likelihood of occurring than Roman Kopylov losing to this bum-ass motherfucker. So yeah, Kopylov by murder. Our next fight on the card, we got Cesar Almeida versus Abdulrazak Alhassan. Now, interesting fight here. I'm going to pick Cesar Almeida to win by TKO because I think Abdulrazak Alhassan, he's too over aggressive, and I think that's going to cost him here against a guy with a really good counter punching like Cesar Almeida. The only thing you really got to worry about on Cesar Almeida's side is his defensive grappling. His grappling is really bad. We saw that in the Roman Kopylov fight. We saw that how Dylan Budka almost got him down, so that's a terrible look. Abdulrazak Alhassan, not really a grappler, but can, you know, shoot a takedown here and there. Does have a judo background that he can lean on. If they do get against the fence, I'd be concerned for Cesar Almeida to get judo thrown onto his back, and he's not getting up once he's on his back. Has no get up game whatsoever. But to be fair to him, did showcase some grappling against Ihor Potieria last time out, but you know, that's Ihor Potieria, so you really can't take too much stock into that. Cesar Almeida, though, former Glory kickboxer, has fought Alex Pereira in kickboxing before, sometimes trains with Alex Pereira. Very good striker, good low kicks, good left hook. Very similar fighter to Alex Pereira in terms of the way that they kickbox. Good counter right hand and very patient on the feet. He's just a really good striker overall. And I think that Abdulrazak Alhassan, we saw it in his last fight versus Cody Brundage. He's just way too aggressive, just leaves himself super open. And I think that Abdulrazak Alhassan is going to go in there, be too aggressive, sling from the hips, and I think that Almeida is just going to catch him with something clean and put his lights out in the second or third round. Almeida does tend to start slow, but I think that the striking, just pedigree and the education in terms of their defense, Cesar Almeida's got this one all day as long as it stays on the feet. So yeah, I'm going to take Cesar Almeida to win this by second round knockout counter right hook over Abdulrazak Alhassan. He has the Guerrero style. Our next fight, Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Carlson Harris. I'm going to take Ponzinibbio here to win this fight because he didn't look horrible against Muslim Salikov and, you know, still kind of looked like a gamer in there. Now he's staying a little bit more active. Both of these guys are older fighters, lower level now, but Ponzinibbio, he was always, you know, a good fighter in the welterweight division, went on a good win streak at one point. Let's not forget that. And was doing all right versus Kevin Holland before he got clipped. Carlson Harris, on the other hand, just not really super impressive. Last time out, lost to Chaos Williams by TKO. You know, he's lost by TKO to Shavkat, has taken some damage. Just not a guy that's super high level and doesn't have a very refined skill set. Ponzinibbio, he is the better striker, aging now slower than ever. But, you know, I don't think that Carlson Harris has the dynamicism to be able to catch him with something quick like a Kevin Holland. Doesn't really have great grappling to be able to get him down. And look, Muslim Salikov, he's a great fighter. He's 40, but he fights like he's 22. And Ponzinibbio made it really close and actually arguably did enough to win that fight. So I'm going to pick Ponzinibbio to get it done via just being crafty, more experienced, has always been the higher level fighter. I think he can turn back the clock here and get a win over Carlson Harris, who is just kind of mid, let's be real. Our main event of the evening, I've been looking forward to this one. I've been looking forward to this rematch for fucking years. Realistically, I couldn't tell you anything either one of these women ever do inside of the UFC octagon, but I really do hope that Mackenzie Dern gets in top position and, you know, yeah, dude, Mackenzie Dern is so thick. It's fucking crazy, dude. That video at the weigh-in, that shit is ridiculous, bro. Definitely top 3 asses in WMMA. Amanda Ribas, dude, I don't even think I watched her fight versus Rose Namajunas, so I couldn't tell you anything she does. Look, it's WMMA main event. Obviously, I don't give in-depth predictions for WMMA. Yeah, I got Mackenzie Dern via being much thicker, and yeah. So, on to my bets for the card. Not a big slate here, nothing that I loved too much. Should have waited in terms of the line movement for Yanal Ashmouz versus Nurilo Aliev. I really did think that that was going to close. I really thought we were going to see Yanal Ashmouz close somewhere in the realm of a plus 190, a plus 225, but you know, he's getting all the way up close to plus 400 now. So I did mistime the line movement with these two bets here, but a unit on Yanal Ashmouz to beat Nurilo Aliev at plus 275 and plus 330, bet online and DraftKings. So yeah, small stab, big plus money there. I like that bet every day of the week. You know, Aliev hasn't been very active, and in terms of what I see as a 50-50 fight, I got to go with the huge plus money there on Yanal Ashmouz. Yanal Ashmouz has cashed for me as an underdog before. I'll trust him to get the job done here for a unit. Two other straight picks here, Roman Kopylov over Chris Curtis at minus 180. Very good line there. Got the opening line there on Roman Kopylov, a bet online, and got a unit on him there. I think that's going to be easy cash, round 1 TKO, but I could see Roman Kopylov just brutalizing him for 3 rounds and winning a decision, so we're going money line there. I do like Kopylov at minus 180. The TKO prop by closing time is probably going to be in that range regardless, so you know, Roman Kopylov, I do think he gets the job done there relatively easy. And then Magomed Gadzhiyasulov, I went over it there in the predictions, obviously, but I like the well-rounded skill set, faster, more dynamic, and he can mix in the grappling if things get fishy on the feet, but he is better overall in terms of the striking anyway, younger as well. I think that Bruno Lopes really just doesn't take his career too seriously. Got him at minus 166. He's now in the range of minus 215. So good line movement there in terms of judging the line movement, getting there before they became heavier favorites in terms of Kopylov and Gadzhiyasulov, but not a good job in terms of anticipating the underdog line movement with Yanal. Parlay here of Cesar Almeida and Roman Kopylov. I think Cesar Almeida is the much better striker. This is basically the better striking parlay, minus 230, minus 180 for the odds of plus 123 on Bet Online. Got a unit there. These are $100 units. So I'm really confident that all of these get there. The only thing that I question would be Yanal Ashmouz, but I love the number there so much that I got to take a stab. So yeah, those are the bets for the card. Those are my full card predictions for the first event of 2025. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. I would greatly appreciate that. It means a lot to me. Thank you for watching the video all the way through and have a great rest of your day.